You've heard of TBR, to be read, and lately we've been hearing pile of possibilities, pop. Well, today I'm introducing Mom. Hello Booktube, it's Marilyn, nickname Maia, and welcome back to my channel. And a special welcome to all my new subscribers that I've got lately. So, welcome, aloha. Okay, so what is Mom? It's Mother's Day coming up in America, and I'm wearing a lei, but it's not for Mother's Day, and it's not for Mom, M-O-M, that I'm going to explain. It's actually my daughter just left her job of 10 years and is starting a new job tomorrow. And a very nice cultural thing is when you leave a job, and many other reasons, you get a lei. So I thought it would be nice, and it smells so wonderful. It's tuber roses, which it's not related to the rose, but it smells wonderful, and orchids. And it's just great. So my daughter said, wear it. So I am. Okay, so what is Mom? When I first, joined the community of Booktube, I said, what is TBR? TBR, that's to be read. And then my friend Kazen came up with a pile of possibilities, which is being used more and more now, which is pop. So I thought, being snarky and a mother, a grandmother, and a great-grandmother, why not have Mom? Mountain of maybes, which you will see here. But I'm not doing a haul today. I'm going to talk about a hard TBR, which is more or less what I plan to actually read in May. Now, as you know, or you might know, Kim and I are doing a readathon, Mental Health May, which of course I'm going to be concentrating on. But it's also May of the Moderns, and there's a couple of books that just fit into other readathons that were from last month, and some that I'm almost finished with. So I wanted to go through my May plans, my hard TBR, or, you can't really say hard TBR, but there are a few books that I know for sure I'm going to read. For one, I'm almost finished with them. One is our group read for Mental Health May, which is by Lori Gottlieb, Maybe You Should Talk to Someone. And I can say I'm enjoying it because it's in small chapters, bite-sized chapters. Some chapters are that I like more than others. I'm learning a lot. I think I already knew a lot because of going through the mental health system myself for so many years, but I did learn some stuff, and I'm not finished yet. And she tells a good story, and there's a lot of characters in the story. I assume she said they're real, so it's a memoir, and I think she's going to tie up the loose ends at the end of the stories that she's telling about her patients, about her own therapy, and her own psychiatrist. Because the subtitle is A Therapist, Her Therapist, and Our Lives Revealed. So we're finally going to find out about her therapist's life, I think, at the end, but I'm not sure. A book that I just finished is The Five for People April. And that readathon, I know, was started by Elizabeth from Bookins and Books. And she has a very good review of The Five that I'm going to put down in the description box. I don't agree 100% with the review, but she really went into most of what I wanted to say. I didn't like it as much as she did. I thought it was well written, well researched, but as you know, when you write a memoir, it's a biography of the untold lives of the women killed by Jack the Ripper, you're going to have a thesis, and you're going to try to fit everything that you found in the research in the thesis. And I think that's what she did. I think she's mostly right, that most of the women were not prostitutes were not killed while street walking, but while sleeping. So that's her major thesis. There were prostitutes of the 5 women, but the one that was actually known to be a prostitute was killed in her bed. The others were killed in the street while they were sleeping rough. It was sad, the Victorian period and the workhouses and how women were treated, how they had no AC, no power, was very real and very frightening, to see how women were treated and, are still not treated 100%, even to this day, as we can see from the news. But, I gave this 4 stars. Okay, then, now this is a completely random, well, it's not random. I picked it up yesterday and I almost finished it. And I've been waiting for this book. It's an anniversary edition. It's called Genderqueer, a memoir. And I got it for People April as well as for Trans Girl April. And I love this book. That's all I'm going to say about it. I'm not going to review it here. But it's about non-binary people. And I tell you the truth, I'm 72. I really didn't know what non-binary meant. Even though my daughter is a lesbian, I really was behind on a lot of the pronouns, and it taught me a lot. And it's written with such compassion. It's a teenage book or a young adult book, and it's a graphic memoir. Did I tell you that? And the person likes to be called E. So like E, ER, or EIM, I think. But this says it's a Stonewall honor book. And I do know what Stonewall is. It's a riot that happened in Greenwich Village. I think it was in the 50s or 60s. And I'm from New York, so I did hear about that. It's also an Alex Award winner, teen readers and adult books. I didn't feel that it was that teen, but I can see it depends on the person, on the child, and it's there's some graphic parts of it that maybe would be PG at least rated, but I really learned a lot. And it's very well written. And the author was very likable. That's all I'll say about it. But I'm still finishing it. I already talked about some of the mental health books. And I'm not going to really go into much. So if this is triggering to you, just beware. But I'm not really going into detail. I talked about On Edge, A Journey Through Anxiety. And this is one that I know I'm going to finish. It's her memoir, Andrea Peterson, and she paints a vivid picture of how anxiety has affected her work, romantic relationships, and experience as a parent. And I can relate to that, and I know I'm going to finish this. A book that I DNF'd because it was triggering to me is Beyond Madness, The Pain and Possibilities of Severe Mental Illness. Now, it says, leading scientist and gifted storyteller Rachel Pruchno, PhD, was shocked to encounter misinformation, ignorance, and intolerance when she sought to help her daughter, newly diagnosed with bipolar disorder. In Beyond Madness, she draws on her decades as a mental health professional, her own family's experiences with mental illness, and extensive interviews with people with severe mental illness to discuss how individuals live with these illnesses, including bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, and major depression. And she presents real-world vignettes. One thing why I had to give this book up because I was triggered is because I have a son with severe schizophrenia and other mental illnesses. And when she was talking about her daughter, who is not in her life really at this time, that's when I became triggered because I have a son. He's in my life, but I don't see him very often, and he's severely mentally ill. He lives in another state. And I said, no, I can't handle this. So, yeah, sometimes when a book is about, this is about her adopted child, and she says adopted child. So I'm wondering if she mentioned, she has another child, and I'm wondering if she said adopted child because the child is no longer in her life. Maybe there's some anger there. But yeah, it's not easy to be a caretaker of a severely mentally ill child. Yeah, so I couldn't handle this book, so I DNF'd it, but you might like it. So that's why I'm showing it. A book that I just saw in the library and picked it up and said, yay, this is for me, is also sort of a young adult book, but not really. It's for teens and adults, and it's from the creator of The Kindness Diaries, 28 and a half adventures guaranteed to make you happier. Go Be Kind, a life-changing little journal by Leon Logothetis. And it says, put your name over here. I just noticed that. And yeah, it says it's a lighthearted journal with a sharp-minded message. If you feel something's missing in your life, kindness might be the prescription. And I want to read you a little bit of why I said this is a hard TBR. Adventure number 14th is Winnie Love Part 1. And it says, very few people wake up in the morning and say, how can I break my heart today? But kindness requires that we love the world so much we let our hearts get broken. Like the great musician Leonard Cohen once said, there is a crack in everything. That's how the light gets in. 15 years ago, I met my light. He was a dog named Winston Churchill. Now, Winnie, as I called him, because Winston Churchill is a very formal name for a dog, wasn't just any dog. Winnie taught me how to love. Not that I hadn't loved people before, of course I had, but before Winnie, I didn't know what it meant to love someone unconditionally, no matter what mistakes they made or what mess they made on the living room floor. I didn't understand that loving something you know you will ultimately lose will not only crack you right in two, it will also let the light in. Because what Winnie taught me was that in order to feel unconditional love from others, we first have to give it. And that's what I did with Winnie. I gave him so much kindness. I offered him so much patience. I wasn't perfect, but in some ways my love was. And I remember one day thinking, why does this dog bring me so much joy? I realized it wasn't about what Winnie was giving me. It was about what I was giving Winnie. I thought, what if I treated everyone with the same love and patience and tolerance that I gave to Winnie? What if I offered the world Winnie Love? And here's a picture of Winnie. And so it says, do you have an animal in your life? Can you borrow one? Maybe take a trip to your local animal rescue? I said you might adopt a pet. And it says about going to a local stable or a petting zoo, and that animals can lower our blood pressure, soften our hearts, calm our spirits, and help us heal. But most important, they teach us how to let the light in. I won't read any more except that it's kind of a workbook. Of course, this is from the library, so I'm not going to write in it. But it says, who are 5 people you can give Winnie Love to today? How would it make you feel? How would it make you happier? And here's Winnie on the bottom, judging. But I said, this is something I am definitely hard TBR going to read. And I already talked about Daniel Amen, MD, The End of Mental Illness, how neuroscience is transforming psychiatry and helping prevent or reverse mood and anxiety disorders, addictions, PTSD, psychosis, personality disorders, and more. And definitely I'm going to read this slowly because I would love to see a cure for mental illness. It has ruined a lot of lives in the past, and continues to do so. Even though there's so much more tools that we have, the people that are affected sometimes aren't connected with those tools because of our mental health system and how it's broken. Another book that I'm definitely going to read, it's Nobody's Normal, How Culture Created the Stigma of Mental Illness, Roy Richard Grinker. And I talked about this already. He talks about how culture and anthropology and even capitalism added or contributed to thinking that people who were different were not normal and weren't to be accepted. And that added to the stigma, that caused the stigma. And I really am interested in this topic, so I definitely want to read this. Just for me, for my mental health, I bought one of my favorite authors, Barbara Common's The Juniper Tree. And all I'll say about this is that it's a retelling of a fairy tale. It might be Beauty and the Beast, because I think her name was Bella. I don't want to know anymore, and I think I'm going to love it. I just ordered another book by Barbara Commons that I'll talk about at another time, but she's one of my favorite authors that I discovered while doing Booktube. Of course, there's May of the Moderns, right? I love May of the Moderns because I love literature written during that time. I'm thinking of doing a whole May of the Moderns video. But right now I'm reading and loving The Listening House by Mabel Seeley. And this reminds me of a book I talked about by Ruth Rendell, where I loved the mystery, but everything else. Now this takes place in the Depression, and it's in a Midwestern city. I don't think it's Minnesota this time, because I talked about another book, the Chuckling Fingers. I hope that's right, by the same author. This is better. This is her first book. And down and out in the Great Depression, Gwen Docris moves into a seedy and sinister boarding house where she exposes deadly secrets in this classic mystery by Mabel Seeley. Oh boy, the language in this is great. Hey sister. There's a little bit of misogyny in this book, but it's to be expected. It's not too much. And the main character is a copywriter who's down and out and has to move because she lost her job as a copywriter. And she moves into this listening house. And it was written in 1938, so definitely it can be said a May of the Modern book. And the language of the 30s, of Depression era, I'm still reading it, so I'm not going to do a review on it, but this is going to be a 5-star just because of the 1930s and Depression era language and people, and it's just wonderful. And I hope to do a review on this on a wrap-up. Another book for May of the Moderns is a book that I bought, and it's kind of weird because I really wanted to read this book. It's one of the British writers that were sort of forgotten in modern day, and this is Dorothy Evelyn Smith, and this is called Oh, the Brave Music. And it's a coming of age story. It's supposed to be very sentimental, but in a good way. And the reason I can't read it is because when I bought this, it says Kathleen Anderson. I wonder if that's the person who was given the book. But this was written in 1943, so definitely it's a May of the Moderns book. And it starts out with the main character. She's in church. I did read the first page. I say it's weird because I can't read it like this. It's like old and dirty. Not dirty, I cleaned it, but it's really in bad shape. So what I think I'm going to do is get this book on Kindle if it's available. Because I don't think I really want to read this book. And this happened to me with a library book. It was one of the Rabbi Smalls novels that I was talking about, the mysteries. It came from the library. This one is mine. But that one came from the library, and it was so dirty and so disgusting that I said, forget it, brought it back to the library, and actually bought a copy for $5 because I was so disgusted with that book. And I kind of feel the same way about this book, though I haven't given it away, or I don't really know what to do with it. Anyway, that's enough for today. So what do you think of Mom? Me? No. All the moms in the America, happy Mother's Day. But Mountain of Maybes? Is that going to catch on? Maybe not. But even if it doesn't, I thought, a pup, why not a mom? So until we meet again, I'm coming back with a lot more. Right now I'm going to enjoy my lay. Aloha.